Hey girl, hey, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Misha. Thank you guys for joining me yet again for another review. Child, The Chi is back. Season 4, episode 1. Child, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. I know I'm a little bit late, but I had a lot of other things to do, child, but I'm back on track now. So it will be uploaded after it goes off on Sundays. If you are new here, then welcome. I do lighthearted TV and television reviews with an entertaining twist and a whole lot of laughter. If you're here for a second or third time, then welcome back. I must give you guys a warning before we get into it. There are some triggers throughout this review. It will not be your normal kiki ha ha type of review, although y'all know I'm gonna act a fool and speak my speech up and through no matter what. All right, y'all, let's get into it. When the episode first opens up, we see Kevin, and it appears that they're like at a prom or a gala or something like that. And we see Keisha giving birth in a body of water. Honey, more power to you, child. Hook me up to the epidural right away, child. Put it as an IV in my arm. Give me a drip in my mouth. Honey, whatever you got to do, I don't want to feel no pain. Then we see people dancing, and we see Kevin, he's like running, right? So he goes into the stairwell and he opens the door, and we see Jake and he's kissing. And I'm like, oh, okay, Jake now finally got him a woman, child. Listen to me. That girl turned around with her fro and her natural hair realness, and y'all, it was Gemma. I said, ain't this about a bit? Let me tell you something. Kevin don't deserve that. Kevin is a sweet little boy. He been sweet since season 1. And girl, you gonna bring your Hasadiddy I'm woke behind over here and cheat on Kevin? Child, I knew someone right about Jake when he was acting like he was so upset and he couldn't stand her. It'd be the ones that really can't stand him, that really can stand him. Y'all know what I'm saying? And now poor little Kevin's heart gonna be all broken. Honey, this is just a mess. Anyway, so then we see that. I'm thinking Jake finally got him a girl, but he did get a girl, but it's Kevin's, okay? So much for the bro code. Then we see Duda, and it looks like he's like overlooking the city. He turns around and then he gets shot. And I'm like, what? What is happening? Okay, so then we go into 1 month earlier. Okay, now we really about to get into it. When the scene opens up, we see Kevin laying down. So I'm thinking Kevin is in his bed, just like we've seen him every other season. And then I realize that there's a girl laying next to him. And I'm like, not they overslept. Child, they done been sexting all night long, and now they done overslept like they grown people. Child, to be young and sneaking around. Let me tell you something. I ain't gonna even sit here and lie like I was some kind of saint, honey, because I remember those days. Child, listen. It's been a plenty of people to jump up and through my bedroom window when I was in high school. I ain't gonna lie to you, okay? So anyway, he's over at the house, and while he's at the house, we see him jump out the window right into the snow, because Chicago gets cold, honey. They have real winters. Okay, I don't know nothing about that. I'm from Texas, but it gets cold there. So he jumps out the window to appear that he's on his way there to pick her up for school, right? But over at his house, Kevin's mama is going through the house saying, Kev, has anybody seen Kevin? Girl, listen to me. Okay, I'm going to need you to keep up with your kids. Okay, because last season, we had a whole ordeal, okay? And the streets of the Chi are not forgiving. So I'm going to need you to know where your son is at all times, especially a young black male. Girl, I'm going to need you to get your head out of the clouds and figure out what exactly is going on, because you never know where your children are. It's just a mess. So anyway, we see Keisha, and she's big and pregnant, so Keisha's getting ready to have the baby, okay? Gemma's dad sees Kevin on the security camera. Now, the good rich folks got security, honey. And so he's looking at him on the security camera, but he kept it cool, because he did see him. So Kev rang the doorbell as if he had just gotten there, right? So he comes inside, knocks on the door, sits down. They're eating breakfast or whatever. And he's telling them about some kids that he saw in the newspaper that actually burned down this building. And he's letting them know, the white people are going to think that all black children behave this way because of what they did. And they're not going to want to bring the Olympics to Chicago. And his daughter was like, I don't care nothing about no Olympics. And then so she started talking about the police. He's like, not all police are bad. Okay, child, I don't have time to play with you. Okay, so let's move forward. So he said that, and she looking at him like, yeah, you need to go on. Then they cut to the next scene, and we're inside of Smokey's barbecue because, Emmett's still holding, okay, with his little cute self. He's still holding him and Dom. They still have their barbecue spot. And we see some customers. They're kind of like talking, right? It's some dialogue happening within the scene. So they're talking about, well, they saying Duda is really a gangster. Well, somebody said he killed Brandon. He killed the dude with the food truck. And then the dude was like, nah, he in the witness protection program. So I guess he over there in Africa with Michael and Tupac and them. Child, not he in the witness protection. Baby, our people gonna make up a story, ain't they? Our people will create a narrative out of nothing if we don't do nothing else, honey. Oh, I love us, child. So they over there making up that he over there in Africa with Tupac and whatnot. And so the girl was like, now what black person is in witness protection? Okay, they ain't about to protect us and put us in witness nothing. Then we see now that Papa is not working at Perry's at the pizza place anymore, right? Now he's working with Smokey's with Emmett. So he asking him for his paycheck or whatever, and Emmett's giving it to him. That's his first check. Okay, honey, Emmett is so fine to me. Honey, I know he's a little short. I know he's a little young. Okay, I can't do nothing with him. But he is a handsome young man. But he trash. Okay, he for the streets. But he fine. Okay, that's all I'm going to say on that. But anyway, so he gives him his check, and he's like, can you give it to me in cash next time so that I won't have to listen, child? We already know that y'all got some money laundering and stuff going up and through you and that pastoral dad of yours. So we gonna need to keep you on the straight and narrow. Don't start no underhanded, crooked, under the table type mess. And Emmett, make sure you pay them people so the IRS can get those taxes out of there, because you do not want your business to go under by doing some old shady stuff. Honey, I know this is scripted, but I'm just saying. Okay, so over at Gemma's house, her and her dad, they're talking. And, we already went over there. So, they were talking, and he said that all police aren't bad, right? So Tiff shows up at the restaurant, and baby, Emmett is feeling that marriage, honey. He's still on cloud nine in the honeymoon phase. And I'm like, oh, okay, we see you fawning over your wife that you cheated on when she wasn't your wife. Okay. So he's like trying to tell her, you need to call me daddy. She's like, I'm not calling you daddy. He was like, well, at least call me the boss. No, thank you. She's like, no, ma'am, Pam. We see Dom, who is played by Lala. She back there rubbing on them ribs, okay, rubbing them down. And so Tiff goes back there. She's like, listen, I need you to do me a favor. I need you to turn that macaroni and cheese into an edible. Honey, she ain't exactly say macaroni and cheese, but she said, I need you to make some edible food for me. And Dom was like, listen, this is a scientific thing. I can't just drop some weed and some greens and then hand it to people. Like, it has to actually taste like something. That's an actual science. I ain't got no time for that, girl. So go ahead on. Emmett, nervous as hell. So he going in there looking, running in, trying to make sure his cover isn't being blown. So, what y'all talking about? Boy, listen, this is the thing. Tiff ain't paying attention. Because if I saw my husband run in and say, what y'all talking about? I would have said, why? And why are you always asking every time I get with her why we're talking or what we're talking about? What is wrong with you? So, honey, I would be looking at her sideways and I would be looking at him sideways. But that's just me. Okay, so they're sitting there and they're talking to each other and he's sweating bullets, okay? Over on the other side, Jake Brothers Trigg and his girl Amani, they have like a little barbershop thing going on. And I was thinking, okay, y'all doing it big. Okay, got a little makeshift barbershop down in the basement, getting them coins, and in walks Duda. I should have known. I just should have known. Child, so he is still paying for Jake's tuition, right? And I guess this is in exchange for them working together or them working for him. Ooh, child, the ghetto. Ooh, the ghetto. So, Darnell shows up to Smokey's, right? That's Emmett's daddy. Child. Darnell show up with that damn old school Bluetooth earpiece. Child, listen to me. That every time I see a man with that old school earpiece, with that little microphone piece, I think about a truck driver. And I say that because my dad is a truck driver. And he always got that old school earpiece in his ear. Child, always acting like he got somewhere to go with no particular place to go. Okay. And they going to keep that old school earpiece. We are in 2021. Okay. Nobody wears that earpiece anymore. Honey, child, oh my goodness. Child, and he is looking for his bae. Okay. So he looking all up and through for his woman. Now I'm trying to figure out who his woman gonna be, right? Because we did see him flirt with Dom last season. Honey, out walks Dom. That's Lala's character, okay? Baby, messy. Oh, this season gonna be good. Honey, let's get into it if we gonna get into it. So Keisha is trying to find her over at her house. She's trying to find the perfect outfit for her to meet a couple that might adopt the baby. So she trying on all these things, and her and Tiff are in the room, and Tiffany is just like, listen, just put on some maternity clothes. You don't have to look like you're going to a fashion show. This is just for you to go and meet the couple. But I kind of understand, because she wants to make a good first impression, right? Over on the other side, we are back at Smokey's, right? So Dom tells Darnell, because you know they're a couple now. She's like, I got something to tell you about your son. He's like, which one? She was like, Emmett. So she was like, I had sex with him. Honey, she didn't lead into it. She didn't hem and haw nothing. She was like, I had sex with him. We went to Pound Town, honey. We did it. And so he was like, oh, okay. It was bound to happen. I mean, he didn't appear he was mad or anything like that. And so I'm like, oh, it's going to be something. Because the way you were too calm, I don't trust it. So then he goes out there and tells Emmett, he's like, bro, you messy. How you gonna propose to your baby mama in front of your mistress while opening up your new business? Darnell is so funny to me. I don't know what it is, but he just has some comedic timing on him. When he was first introduced, I was like, okay, he gonna get on my nerves. First of all, don't treat this boy like this after you haven't even been in his life. But as his character developed, I'm just like, he just like his son, honey. Like father, like son, child. So Darnell is, telling him that he was proposing in front of his mistress. But then I was thinking about it. I'm like, that wasn't his mistress, because he wasn't married to Tiff when him and Dom got into it. But what I did remember is, y'all remember when Tiff and Emmett went to go drop off that weed to that tarot card reader? And she was like, I don't have no money, so y'all give me the weed and I'll give y'all a reading. And she told Tiff, she said, listen, yo vagine ain't gonna be enough for Emmett ever. Okay, y'all remember she said that. And Tiff was like, she was hitting him and she was mad, and she was like, everything that she has said has always come true. Honey, that's why you don't speak nothing into your existence, because the lady ended up being right, child. Okay. So anyway, Darnell wasn't mad. Moving on. Then his mom shows up, and she was like, oh, I see y'all keeping it in the family, because Darnell said that him and Dom were coming over to the house for a little Netflix and chill, right? See, this is some mess, honey. That's the mess that'll get you effed up. I'm the only one in the dark. Everybody knows that you've done what you've done except me. Oh, baby, Tiffany gonna set it off because she looked like the type. She gonna shoot that whole place up. Over on the other side, we see Duda and his wife go to see Tracy at her place for her organization. She's in there hanging up some signs or doing something. So he invites her to an event. Baby, listen to me. Did y'all feel that sexual tension between Tracy and Duda? Baby, they gonna get into it as they get into it, okay? So, child, he looking like he want a piece of Tracy. Do you hear me? So him and his wife must obviously have an arrangement, okay? Because clearly, honey, he invited her to an event, and then he whispered in her ear, I'm not what you think I am. I said, oh, child, even I was looking a little like, okay. Okay. Now, I know he the bad guy, but I'm just saying, honey, let's get into it. So on the other side, Jake and Kev, they're on the bus, right? And so this dude starts making fun of Kevin, and him and Jake get into it. Okay, because Jacob had changed. I'm going to call him Jacob. I don't know if his name is Jacob. It might just be Jake. But Jake had changed his clothes on the bus, right? Because he didn't want to have on his uniform. So he took his clothes off, and when they get to where they were going, they get off the bus, and this dude immediately starts in on them. Now, I'm guessing it's the guy that he used to always have a little rift with when, it's from rival gangs, or you from 63rd and he with the Wild Boys. So they had this little thing, and it was always something. And remember, his brother Reg had told him, look, if you keep backing down, he gonna always think you scared. And I feel like that's that same dude, but I can't really remember. So he starts going in on how they look and all this kind of stuff, and they exchange words and they get into it. So then this white officer comes over and asks for his ID. Now, we all know Jake got a mouth on him and a little bit of a temper, okay? This is his environment. This is what he was raised around. So he was like, the police, and you want my ID? No, not gonna happen. So he was like, why I gotta show you my ID? The officer proceeds to slam him on the ground and strike him over and over and over. And while he's doing this, Maisha and Papa walk up, right? So they pull out their phones and they're recording everything that's happening. And everybody's like, get off of him. And why are you doing this? And what did he do? So Kevin, I guess he assumed if I just comply and I take my ID out, then they'll get off of Jake, right? So he pulls out his ID and the cop immediately pulls out a gun and points it at him. And let me tell y'all something. I have a young black son. And when I tell you, the Chi in general triggers me. Okay? This show will have you hugging on your loved ones, calling people you've never even talked to for years, honey, crying at the drop of a hat. This show itself is very triggering. This scene, I was like, let me start praying, honey. Let me start praying for my son and our sons right now. Because this scene was oh so real. And it triggered me big time. So then the other cop, he pulls out a gun. Everybody's screaming. It's complete chaos. And we know this scene plays out in real life on a daily basis. We know it does. Okay? We have a list of hashtags that should not be hashtags at the hands of police brutality. So we know how it plays out. So anyway, they put Jake in the car. His face is all battered and bruised. And then they take him off. After that, Kevin and Maisha and Papa, they're like just sitting at this table, like kind of stunned, and they're saddened about it. And Maisha had recorded it, and she's like, I want to post it. And Kevin was like, don't post that. Jake's not going to want to see people getting him hemmed up by a cop. Listen, you need to put this out there so that people can know exactly what's going on. So Maisha was like, no, I'm putting it out there. So then she asked Papa, because Kevin got mad that they wanted to put it out there. So he got up and he left. So then Papa was like, put it out there. And she was like, well, we might get in trouble. Papa was like, it's good trouble. I know that's right. I know that's right. Y'all better stand for something, honey, or you'll fall for anything. Tabitha makes her acting debut. Okay, so they're at a meeting with the couple that will probably eventually adopt Keisha's baby, right? So they want to make sure that she's all in and they're all in as a couple. So they're asking them questions, and they sound like they kind of got some tension between them, like it's a little bit of some arguing going on behind the scenes. You know, you can just feel it. So they ask her if she has any questions. She said, are y'all good? She was like, oh, you mean with the adoption? She was like, no. Are y'all too good, like as a couple? Because I can sense the tension. Child, that tension was thick. Do you hear me? Meg the Stallion thick. Okay, I'm sitting here like, ooh, honey, y'all look like y'all want to claw each other's eyes out. Child, y'all sure y'all want to bring a baby into this mix? Honey. So at the house, we leave that scene right at the house. Trig gets a call because they're sitting there at dinner wondering why Jake hasn't made it, right? So he gets a call and you can hear somebody breathing real heavy. And so apparently on the other line is Jake. So Trig gets up immediately and leaves. He's off to the hospital. Dre, Tracy, and it was somebody else. I think it was Emmett's mama. They were sitting at this restaurant, right? Waiting for Doodah to show up. And they send Tracy over there to get this money, okay? Because they already see the way that Doodah is looking when he walks in the restaurant, how he's looking at Tracy, how Tracy looking at him. So we already know it's going to be a situation with those two. So they're like, look, girl, go on over there and get the money for the organization and bring it back. When she gets over to the table, oh, no, we'll get to that in a minute. Let's go back to the other part. So at Emmett and Tiff's child, the girls are becoming BFFs. Okay, they making weed brownies and everything. I said, oh, not the girls that done slept with the same man that one of them doesn't know is in there making weed brownies together. Okay, girls. So him and his dad show up with this blockbuster movie. I was like, child, where you get this VHS? Even to do this scene, where did y'all get this VHS? So they show up with this blockbuster movie and his VCR. Honey, I haven't seen one of those in decades. Emmett still sweating bullets, okay? Still panicking at the slightest hint of those two talking in private. Listen, you just need to come clean, because this is the thing. You're going to have a heart attack, and it's going to always hang over your head. So it's best to just get it out, accept whatever consequences come along with it, and then move on, honey, because she knew you wasn't nothing before y'all got married. Back over at the restaurant, you know, Tracy went over there to sit with Doodah and his wife, right? So she's sitting over there with them, and then he gets a call, and he has to leave because apparently he got the news about Jake as well. At the restaurant, we see his wife telling Tracy, you want to F my husband, don't you? Baby Tracy was just looking, honey. She ain't say no, though. She was just sitting there looking. She said, oh, well, I don't mind sharing my husband. Honey, if this ain't art imitating life, allegedly, okay? Over at the hospital, Tree gets to the hospital and they have Jake shackled to this damn bed like a animal. Oh my, oh, child, listen, hold on, let me just take a break, child. Whew, okay, I'm back. So he's shackled to this bed for whatever reason. And I'm thinking, why is this kid shackled to a hospital bed? Like, I was completely confused. Anyway, Doodah shows up and, Trig is triggered, okay? He has the correct name in this scene. He's triggered, he's upset, he's pissed, as he should be. And he's like, look, how could you even let this happen to him? He's like, he tells the cop, Doodah's like, you need to take these cuffs off of him. So they uncuff him because Trig is like, they have my brother tied to this bed like an animal. He was like, aren't you supposed to be doing something about these crooked cops? And he's like, I'm going to handle it. Well, it should have never even happened. So they go back and forth. They're exchanging words. And I understand why he's upset, because really and truly, the other boy did start it. Like, they were just walking on about their business, and because they had on something that didn't appeal to him, it was a whole situation. And quite frankly, Kevin is the one he was talking to, but Jake gonna take up for his friend, and so it was a whole big old mess, child. So we see Kevin riding down the street. He's drinking, smoking. I'm like, oh my goodness, this poor boy, he has been through the ringer. Kevin gets home drunk and high. Okay, so his mom asks if he wants to talk about what happened. She's like, what happened to you? He's like, the police. She goes into his room. He says he doesn't want to talk about it. He just wants to stay silent, okay? At the couple's movie night, they all high as a kite, tweaking off these weed brownies, okay, watching soul food. So Emmett's sweating like he just got out of the sauna. And I'm like, boy, you are sweating like you're sitting on the sun. Like, what is wrong with you? Child, his pores are completely opened up. Do you hear me? He's sweating profusely, and they're watching Soul Food, and Tiff, she's reciting the part of Soul Food where Faith has screwed Terry's husband. Y'all remember that part? So she going off, honey, doing all the dialogue, okay? So as she's doing that, Emmett's sweating more and more and more, right? Darnell over there chuckling it up because he know what it is. So then the dudes fall asleep and the lady started talking about Emmett. Child, listen, this ain't the time to be falling asleep, honey. This ain't the time for the narcolepsy. You gonna need to wake up. So they're over there talking, but they didn't say anything yet. But he needs to stay awake at all times. Keisha is asking Kevin if he's good, okay, because she comes into his room and he's struggling with what happened to him. And she's like, look, you just need to talk to somebody, because I was the same way, just trying to sit in my hurt, hoping it'll go away, and it never goes away. So you need to speak to somebody about it, right? There's a knock at the door all of a sudden. So she's like, are you expecting anybody? She goes to the door, and it's Tabitha's character. I didn't get her name yet. She comes by and tells Keisha, that her and her husband, Mark, are actually getting a divorce. And she was like, oh, I could tell that. And she was like, yeah, he came over to help me and my chances of getting a baby because he knows I really want a baby. Well, that was nice of him. So there's a little bit of something still there, okay? So Keisha was like, you know what? I want my baby to be in a 2-parent home, so I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do it. This is my thing. I would rather have my baby with one loving parent than to see 2 parents that are constantly fighting. Now, it is her choice. I also understand that because she comes from a broken home, she wants her child to experience better than she did. So I can totally understand that. But at the same time, I do feel like if the child is going to have a nurturing home and a foundation in which to grow up better than what you did, then I say go for it, honey. Over on the other side, Kevin stops by the hospital, and, him and Jake are having some words, right? So Jake said, if I had on a uniform, maybe I would have walked away and I wouldn't have gotten arrested and beaten up. So then Kevin was like, no, it was because I obeyed the cops. What? He was like, what was I supposed to do? He was like, you could have at least recorded it. And he was like, Maisha recorded it. And he was like, she's more down than you are. This is the thing. Listen to me. You can comply and still get shot or killed. You can comply and still be arrested, battered, bruised, and profiled. So I understand what he is saying. And as a young kid and as anybody, if they say, hey, your license and registration, you comply. That's 100% true. But I also don't want him to believe that just because you do doesn't mean that something like this won't happen. So I don't want the two to get confused. Duda is going over to see Tracy, okay, and help her paint for whatever reason. I'm not quite sure. And so she asked, she said, did you hear what happened with the kids that the police attacked? Now, he didn't mention that it was actually Jake, but he said, yeah, I heard it and I'm going to handle it. And so he said, sometimes it feels like we're living in a police state. And she said, that's because we are. And just as she said that, we see a scene with Trig and Amani. And Amani is like on her little, I don't know if it was a walkie-talkie or her cell phone or what it was. And she was like, he's coming up now. So, baby, listen, Trig and Amani are taking matters into their own hands. That cop jogged and cut that corner. And, baby, I bet he wish he wouldn't have messed with Jake that day and seen. Honey, this season is gonna be good, child. Let me tell you something. This was an emotional roller coaster with this first episode, but it was so good. But the show always delivers. It's been delivering since season 1. So as the season goes on, we're gonna meet right here on Sundays to talk about it. I'm hoping it's gonna be a good time, and I'm hoping we're gonna get a lot out of this season. It's supposed to be a lot of cameos this season, so I'm excited to see that. And child, y'all join me here next week. Don't hesitate to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, stay safe, stay blessed, spread love, not germs. Peace.